আচ্ছা ঠিক আছে তো Assalamu alaikum and good evening for everyone who have joined us already. This is one of those sessions which we have been organizing since like this April, and this is going to be on research center establishment and management. And today we have three of our distinguished Bangladeshi-rooted professors from different universities. We do have Professor Mehdi Anwar from University of Connecticut. He is a professor of electrical and computer engineering. We do have Professor Prashanta Dutta. He is of mechanical engineering department of Washington State University. And we do have Professor Rafi Tarefder. So he is from civil engineering department of University of New Mexico. So the way that it will work is essentially they are going to talk approximately 25 to 30 minutes, and then we will be taking all the questions. And for that, we do have a few buttons you can see. So you can use either the chat button or the Q&A. And for the audience at this point, both the camera and the mic, they are all turned off, and we will be receiving all the questions, and then I will be I will be taking the questions and we'll project it to the panelists, and they will be responding to that. So we expect an energetic session as always for the last couple of events that we have observed. And we anticipate to get it done by 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Okay, thank you so much, everyone, and thanks all our panelists for joining. Professor Rafi Tarefder will go ahead.
Thank you, Mustafa, and thanks to my panel and senior Professor Anwar, and then Prashanta Dutta, and so on. And all the participants, looks like we have about right now almost 20 people, right, Mustafa? And so in this, so I'll just to start this discussion, I prepared only 2 slides. And so today's topic is about research center. How do you create a research center? So I put, in the first slide, can you see the slide? So you can see the slide, right? Mustafa, can you see the slide?
Yes, we can see the slide. If you can kindly put it in the slideshow mode, I think it's going to actually cover.
Oh, okay. Now, okay. Good. All right. Thank you, Mustafa. Yeah, so I have been involved with the centers as an associate director since 2012. And then finally, just this year, we have created a center. So when you try to create a center, so the most important question is the critical mass, right? So now, if you can look at in the vision statement, the first one, so I'm saying a vital source of interdisciplinary experts. So let's say you are a university professor, and then you cannot just all, 4 or 5 of you can just go there and create a center. That doesn't work that way. And there has to be something, but main idea of this that people can come to you, and get the critical mass or expertise in an interdisciplinary areas and to solve some problems. If you can see, I said here just to create some, deployable solutions. And then why you want to do it? Because definitely, it's some sort of needs of an area, of a country, or a university, or a region. And then you want to make that, country, or say in this case, Bangladesh, to be competitive, globally and so on. If in a smaller region, so that kind of, you have to have a, vision for a center. And then mission is like any other mission, right? So you will be responding to a challenge in an interdisciplinary approach so that without centers, it was not possible. And most of the centers, it does all kinds of research, workforce development, technology transfer, and education. So, so for this slide, I just wanted to say that to create a center, so it's like you have what do you call that? Energy has to go to at a certain level, then you start thinking about a center. So then after you created a center, then of course that center will have some, have to have some scope. What kind of scope? If you can see, I'm just saying on the top slide, I just said, let's say, some sort of risk-based solutions. So my center is basically a transportation center, and transportation, it does all kinds of safety, operations, traffics, roads, pavements, and so on. So scope, we just said that, resilient and sustainability to face the extreme, climate. So that kind of issues will be, dealt with this center. And then of course, once you have done that, then you have to put some, some distinguished features of your center that, you cannot solve everything. So like for us, we put 3 themes, like one is resilient and sustainable infrastructure and transportation infrastructure, like roads, airports, transit systems, parkings. And right now with the AI, with the EV, right? Electric vehicles and autonomous electric trucks. So we are talking about charging stations, and then, for charging a lot of cars, you need a lot of electric power, and then an electric grid system and all of this. So we are talking about electrification of the, transportation entire system so that everybody can have an electric vehicles. And then on top of that, in this case, our theme is basically safety. And then, of course, some informatics, basically, human-centric data modeling. So these are the things. And then, so locally at the university, you have to talk about what is the rationale for this center. So whenever you try to develop a center, university says that, or the department or the school says that you have so many centers, you don't need this. So you need to have a rationale that there are other people, other centers are doing, but this is the part is missing, and somebody has to take care of that. And now, of course, you will have to have some collaborations, all kinds of collaborators have to be bigger scale than only one person. And then, of course, some potential funding. And then you set up a center structure, basically, center director, associate director, and faculty, staff, and then one advisory board. You can, like in my center currently, we are thinking about, 2 different advisory boards, one from the industry side and one from the academia side, and so on. And then you have some accountability. So I just wanted to say that I just this center we just created, and to start this panel discussion, I just cut and paste from the center proposal what I proposed, but to give you some sort of an idea if you want to start a center, when you become a professor, now you don't want to be an admin person, you want to stay in the research area, then alone you can do this much. And then with so many collaborators and faculty together, you can do a lot. So I'll stop here. Thank you for listening. And then I think next, Dr. Prashant or Dr. Anwar will go from here.
Okay.
Thank you, Professor Rafi. So who will go first?
Okay, I could start and then probably, but either way, that's fine with me. Let's see. I'm sharing my screen. Is that something coming out?
Yes, we can see that screen.
So is that coming as a different?
No, we can see your screen. We have the title
Okay.
slide.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks
Okay.
fine.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you for basically first of all organizing this thing and arranging for these Bangladeshi faculty members in US and overall in North America. And my name is Prashanta Dutta. I have been in this country since 1996. Here's a short background. I'm currently at Washington State University. I got my BS from Bangladesh, from WIT in 1993, and then MS 1996, came here 1996, right after MS, and got my first master's in 1 year, and then PhD, and then moved to academia. So I have only one job. That's the only thing I can show. All my appointment at Washington State University, I started right after my PhD. And then during my sabbatical year, I worked at two different universities, at Konkuk University, Seoul, and Darmstadt Technical University of Darmstadt as Fulbright professor. Also, I worked as summer fellow. And then starting 2017, I started taking some administrative role. That's where my journey for the centers or program had started. And since then, I ran these two programs. I mean, one we call program, the other one we call project. Okay. So I am going to show from my own experience how these two things basically came out. So the first one, in which I served as kind of an associate director, as Rafi has mentioned, this is kind of a similar kind of thing. And these particular, also I intentionally selected two cases. They are a little bit different than the pure research center. This is a research center in the sense that these are based on the educational research. So what we have done as part of this center, this is our Engineering Education Research Center at Washington State University. I mean, when I first started, like very back in 2001, at that time, some of this issue was like our academic preparation heavily math-based or theoretical. But students here quite did not appreciate the way we got learned things in WIT and how we wanted to teach them, and which really reflected on our poor ratings in the class. Then I seek out to people how to improve on to that. And that's where this thing has started. I started working with one of these chemical engineers. At that time, he is trying to develop something. He's saying, okay, some of this concept in mechanical engineering or civil engineering or chemical engineering, they are very difficult for our students specifically, not for all students. So it's saying if all these industrial big components, if we can make a smaller one and come to bring them to the class and do with minor or short experiments that could supplement the theoretical thing. So this is one such thing. As you see, this is a very common thing for chemical engineers and mechanical engineers. This is basically a heat exchangers. And this heat exchanger really, this example, these are big components, but teaching them in the class, it brings a lot of things. So we came up with a shorter, simpler version of it, as you can see it right there. And then we started doing some experiments even in the class and showing, look, this small thing is low cost, we call low cost desktop learning modules, is doing pretty much what industrial schools are doing. But because of its transparent nature, we could show, we could tell the story, what is happening in a bigger component. And then we started, so this is just one of the components. We started building many such things. And then we first started looking into doing this implementation at our universities. We seek out to funding for NSF. We got 1 or 2 rounds of funding. Then we started going even bigger. So bigger means we started looking into the hub-based dissemination. So right now, our engineering center is
Professor Dutta,
yeah.
excuse me, I have a point. I'm also not seeing, I'm also receiving some requests. I think the slides are not moving. Did the slides move?
Sorry. So should I?
It's fine. Just can you move from first slide? We'll see. Okay, so we can see now the title slide.
Yeah, can you see the movement of the slide? No.
No. Maybe you just get out of the slideshow mode and see.
Okay.
We can see the first slide again.
Yeah, maybe I just move on to the slide one at a time.
Okay.
Is that doing anything different? No.
Are you are you projecting as a slide in slideshow mode?
I try both slideshow modes as well as the reading mode.
Okay. Reading mode is typically safer.
Yeah, I try to do both of them.
Okay, maybe maybe go to the slide number 2 and then share something like that. Okay, we can see now the second slide.
Okay. So I'll basically
yeah. Okay. We can see the slide number 4.
Sorry about that. I was not looking at. I have multiple screen. I'm looking the one that I was projecting from. Sorry about that. So this is what you can see in a nutshell. All those different things that I was talking about. So these are major industrial components for heat exchangers and venturi flow meters. So as part of this, our engineering research center, we built those devices. At that time, it was not center. So I was telling the story how we built the center. We started as an SF project. A couple of us got together, wrote proposals, convinced the reviewers saying that, okay, if we could do this, probably that would enhance the learning ability of our undergraduate students in undergraduate courses. So another example that I have shown right here on that, with this, what is not working now is probably the animation I had. So anyways, I go with whatever it is working. Right here, what we have done is a hub-based dissemination. So that's where we got a nationwide dissemination project funded from NSF, and that's where we really kicked in our center. And as you can, this hub that I am showing, this is a Delta hub. That's the concept that we have shown. Is saying as a single university, we cannot go and talk about this and diffuse throughout the United States. So we created multiple hubs like Northwest hub, West hub, Central hub, and we selected some of the university in each of these hubs, and then we identified people who helped us to basically go around them. So this was our one of the example that I would like to show. So our center was not a university created one. This is a center that we first put together, a bunch of faculty members, wrote proposal, first got a couple of small one, then like a bigger grant we started. And in this recent year, I would like to show a second example. Again, this is probably also not going to work because of the animation is not going to work. But what I would like to talk about probably in this particular one, maybe I could show the whole faculty members that those got involved here. This is National Science Foundation Research Traineeship Program. It's called NRT. So this particular one that I started as associate director. At that point, one of our objective is to increase our graduate student number and also the program's visibility. So when I started that position, as previous panelist has mentioned, you guys basically put together, created a bunch of themes. So in that major project goal was for robotics and autonomous system. So we put together 3 different topics based on the faculty members that we have at our university. And based on that, we wrote a proposal, first of all, to NSF, and we got funded. And we wrote another proposals to Department of Education. So right now, 2 different grants is funding these particular, I would not say this is a center, this is a program, but which is serving the purpose of a center. So right now we have 20 PhD students. First year, there are 10 students started working on. Now there are second cohort, another 10 students started. And we have 20 plus faculty member involved. In this particular one, this is highly multidisciplinary, even though it started with the electrical and mechanical engineering. But we have also components coming from other, not engineering. So some of these things are that is related to the soft skills. So we bring how to be a leader, how to be effective communicator, how to effectively reach out to mass audience. So those are some of those things we identify. Here is our website, that is developed. The purpose of our, this particular center was around robots for multiple things. One of them is saying how it could be used for agriculture. So what do you see? The robotic arm is picking the apple. And in our state, we are, Washington is the apple state, is a big part, even though everybody knows us for Google, Microsoft, and Amazon, but we also have big agriculture presence. And also our state has big mass as well, which is the nuclear mass. So robots is clearly the, obvious choice to cleaning this nuclear waste. All over the United States, people use those nuclear material, which now dumped in our land. And there is a significant, in our central Washington, significant cleaning effort going on in which these robots are used. So with that, I would like to stop. Sorry about all the technical disruptions. I am a Zoom person. I don't know how this mistake happened. So anyway, sorry for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Datta. And yeah, it's cool. Okay, so we'll move to Professor Mehdi Anwar from University of Connecticut, Electrical and Computer Engineering. Professor Anwar, you need to unmute yourself, please.
Yes, I'm no longer muted. Thanks for the elegant presentations made by Dr. Shaheb Ebong and Tarefder Shaheb. So I have 4 minutes because I think it is going to be much more informative if it is a Q&A based session, because then we can all participate. And my understanding is among the audience, there are quite a few people, I think, who are way better qualified to discuss about centers. Now, centers are, whenever we are planning, and I think that was mentioned repeatedly, that it requires definitely an idea. And most of the time, the idea happens to be an interdisciplinary idea, because most of the science actually happens to be the intersection of apparently disconnected disciplines. We also need institutional commitment. There must be a funding source. And then we have the stakeholders. And quite often, the centers are actually of different scales. We could have a center that resides in a certain school or college. we can have an university center, or we can actually have a center that actually connects multiple universities and industries. As an example, an NSF ERC. So in all of these cases, so when it comes to centers, my experience is mainly on, I have managed centers. And the first one was, it was funded by Department of Energy. And I think this is the first brick and mortar energy center. And so the DOE funding came in, but again, there was a commitment that was extracted from the university and is supported by multiple departments and colleges. So this is actually a key, that whenever we have an idea, that idea must resonate not only in the school that we belong to, but also among our colleagues belonging to different colleges and schools. And it's even better if you can actually get industry or other universities to be a part of it, because then actually the pot gets bigger. Now, also the culture that we see at the different funding agencies, they're actually trying to move away from single PI to multi-PI, because the management that they have to carry out actually goes down a little bit. So, or in other words, they're actually favoring multi-PI center-based proposals and so on and so forth. Now, when it comes to commitment, it is not only that we have a great idea. Most of the time, it must address something we say an area of national need, or it has to, in a certain sense, advance our understanding or advance our knowledge. If you can do both, that is fantastic, but either or is also going to be fine. And then comes the most important part, and the tricky part is actually getting resources in. And that particular resource must be continued, because it cannot be simply a commitment for multiple years and then the center goes away and it never, as if it never existed, because I've seen quite a few of those as well. So, and that actually becomes an issue. So when it came with the energy center as an example, in order to get that one funded, we actually worked with the state. So we have an advantage, and the advantage was University of Connecticut is the what you call only public research university in the state. And most of the legislators are also UConn graduate. So we actually have a certain amount of what you call understanding in between these two bodies. So what that happened is, somehow we were able to interact with the legislators. And that allowed for us to define something called an eminent faculty program, where the state says that you are going to get, whoever wins that program is going to get $2 million plus fringe in perpetuity. So somehow School of Engineering actually got that funding. And you have to understand, $2 million in perpetuity with the fringe roughly around $2.8 million. And that buys lots of faculty members. So roughly we had 14 lines defined. So when that particular money comes in, there was only one key, one challenge, that in order for anyone to unlock that particular funding, that requires a one-time cash of $2 million from industry. So that was the challenge. So this is what I'm talking about, the stakeholders and the funding part that we need in order to run a good center that is not only going to educate and create the what you call the workforce that you're talking about, But when it comes to technology, they are going to assist industry as well. So that is the national need part of it. So the fun part was, so we were able to get that 2 million, to be exact 2.1 million. And it took us about 3 weeks to do it. And again, the understanding is that if we have a story to tell, there are people who are willing to support such an initiative. So this was a good story to have. Then we had other centers, which are university centers. And quite often, whenever we have a center, we'd like to extract as much money as possible. So we designate them as what we call cost centers. And we encourage our faculty members to run their proposal through the cost centers. And that allows a certain percentage of the indirect to be fed back to the center again. So that keeps on funding the center as we move along. Because the most important aspect is definitely science, but a funding pipeline that will continue to fund such a center. Otherwise, we may have the best of ideas, but the center will fail to exist. Now, the other mechanism is, I think, which is at most of the universities, and these are congressional funding. And this is what it takes is, it is not only you have to be a good researcher with great ideas, but you have to be very well connected within the university administration. That is, they have to like you. And you have good connection with the legislators who are actually in Washington, D.C. And this actually allowed us to establish the center, which was a Homeland Security Center for Transportation Security. And that was with 6 different universities as partners. And University of Connecticut was the research lead. And if I'm not mistaken, Tougaloo College was the educational lead for this particular effort. And the funding was, for 6 universities, $18 million a year for 4 years. So these are things that needs to be done. But the idea is always to think big. And in order to think big, it is the other issue becomes when it comes to center and all of these, what you call solicitations that actually come out. We right away pack a team of 5 or 10 faculty members. We try to write a white paper and we send it out expecting that will be requested or we will actually be asked to submit a final proposal. It never happens. Because these guys are actually smart. Because they know the team was formed in a rush and they don't have any story to tell that actually makes sense. And I think this is where Saif actually could rhyme in, because they hired 2 members of the National Academy of Engineering just to make sure that they actually lead such center proposals. And they actually had the commitment to do it, not only their commitment, but also the support of the institution. So a center is a great idea, but it takes a tremendous amount of work and a great deal of administration capability to actually get it up and running. Otherwise, we can start it, but it may not see daylight the next year. So with that, I would like to take questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Anwar. So now is the time that we'll be receiving questions from the audience. There are different mechanisms: chat, Q&A, or raise your hand. Then we're going to open the mic, and definitely you can ask questions, please. So we are waiting for the questions. Because Professor Anwar just mentioned about Professor Saif, I think I can see Professor Saif is in the audience.
I can see Saif and I can see Taher. And
yes.
My understanding is Taher also can talk about the way he interacted with the other universities, MIT and so on and so forth, and that was a part of a center as well.
Yes, Professor Saif, your mic and camera both are on. Please unmute yourself.
Mustafa, can we go to the participant mode and get rid of this presentation so that we can all see?
Professor Datta, you have to just stop sharing, please.
I will close that file, but I don't know how to get out of this.
Okay, Professor Saif Islam, can you?
Doesn't exist anymore.
All right.
I think you should be able to talk.
Okay.
We can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Yes.
All right. Very good. Good afternoon. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. And I'm in California still. There is sunlight outside, but you are probably mostly from East Coast. So this was a really great discussion. I think you covered everything. I was part of some center activities for NSF-funded ERCs that some of those that were led by others got funded. The one that we led didn't get funded, but I'm currently the director of a center which was state and UC President's Office funded. It's called CITRUS, Center for Information Technology Research in the Interest of Society. We're in 4 campuses, and it's very, very interdisciplinary. Our campus has medical school and agriculture. Berkeley has leadership in engineering. Santa Cruz and Merced are also really good in some areas like marine bioscience and astrophysics. And also Merced is in agriculture. And California governor gave $100 million to bring us together to solve, big and grand problems that require very interdisciplinary flavor. And every year we give a grant. It used to be 2 PIs from 2 campuses, but now we made it mandatory to have 3 PIs with different background from multiple campuses. And eventually they multiply whatever we give by at least 4 to 10x over 2-3 years by taking the seed grant to the next level. In the centers that NSF funded us, there are also mechanisms for such small seed grant, which eventually resulted in expanding some activities and ideas into larger activity. Workforce training became a big part of recent centers. Really, every agency is doing it, and you already covered all this stuff. Any specific question, Mehdi bhai? I'm not sure if you asked, or Professor Hussain.
No, you and I talk a lot, so I was just receiving a call from Professor Taher Saif because I think he wanted to also share his perspective. And Professor Taher Saif is also in presenter mode, just to let you know. Professor Anwar, you wanted to ask something?
No, I'm just, this is totally
okay.
off the point. I see Prashanta and Taher Saif, they have the exactly same background. It is as if they're sitting in the same room, but they're sitting next to each other.
That's a great
Using the same background. The very fast one.
And Prashanta, we see probably after 10 years or 15 years, we spend brief time in one of the airports, I guess, Hong Kong, right?
Yeah.
Do you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you.
Finally. Well, Mehdi bhai and.
But we don't see you.
How do I?
It's a little dark over there. Oh, what happened? You're gone.
Well, sometimes the sound wave moves faster than the light wave.
I don't know. I'm not used to Microsoft Teams. I'm more on the Zoom. Good to see you all. It's after quite some time. Yeah, all the discussions that we all had, I think it's very, very valuable for those who are thinking of starting a center or maybe forming a team to make a center. So I personally never led a center, but I was part PI or co-PI of centers. One is the STC, Science and Technology Center, for the NSF. It's the largest NSF centers. It's for 5+5, so 50 million total. Now we are leading NSF expedition, which is for 7 years. Expectation is 7+7. It's smaller scale, but still it's quite big compared to regular NSF grant. It's about 15 to 16 million for 7 years. So what I have learned is that, as most of you have discussed, it starts with a small group of people who really believe in a vision and are excited about it. So we had, including the expedition, this is our 3rd or 4th center. We had multiple ERCs. We are now working on one ERC for a white paper. But it seems like the projects that fail, I could tell it is not going to work from day one. And projects that have some likelihood of success, you could tell day one. The one that is less likely to succeed is somebody calls for a general meeting saying we have a call for proposal, and some 20, 30, 40 people show up. And then some discussions happen, and then essentially one person takes all the responsibility, and it doesn't work. The STC that we had for 12 years, few of us, maybe 5 of us, met in Chicago. We knew each other very well. Myself, Roger Cam at MIT, myself and Rashid Bashir also from here, and let's see, there was someone from Georgia Tech. Name just crossed my mind. So we knew each other very well. We knew each other's families very well. We used to have dinner together. Every time I used to go to MIT, I would go to Roger Camp's house. So we knew each other very, very well. So when we met in Chicago, it was more as friends get together, and then we respect each other. So, whatever ideas came, we liked the ideas, and criticism was not taken anything negatively. It is more for constructive idea formation. And we spent 2 days, good food in Chicago, and discussed. And the white paper was, I think, 10 pages for STC. But we're very excited about it. It's not like, we have to do it. It just, if it doesn't get done, if it doesn't get funded, we'll do it anyways. So that was the motivation. And it was a lot of fun, actually, working on the full proposal. But of course, it's a lot of work when the full proposal call came. And then you have to have a staff member to help you out, because it's not the science that is the full proposal. There's so much data they want. It's mind-boggling. So you have to have provost office or dean's office, the staff, they have to come in and take a huge part in that activity. So it was very fruitful. Now, as the center comes along, there's a lot of work. We used to have meetings every week for outreach, for research, for evaluation. There were many people, 30 faculty members and 90 graduate students and postdocs. So it's a lot of evaluation every year. But by the end of the day, I think we finished this 2022. My feeling is I kind of miss it because every year we used to meet twice. All these people, about 30 faculty members and students. Students became very close to each other. So there were 2 groups of students, 5 years each. And they became very good friends. I'm second batch are now postdocs. They keep in touch with each other. So I think there's a huge human element to it. Strongly depends on the PI. PI was Roger Cam. So that STC was supposed to be led by Illinois, but we already had a center at that time. So we decided to go to MIT, but the money was equally shared, and we didn't have any feeling that who leads and who doesn't. It was somebody had to lead it, but we all worked together. So based on the PI's response, I think he made us all feel like a family, and we still continue to do so even today.
Thank you, Professor Saif. I think Ariful is actually asking. Hold on, Ariful, I'm going to unmute yourself. Ariful, you should be able to talk now. Please unmute yourself.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Actually, Ariful is him, and I'm Nabila. I also registered, but since we are, spouse, we just wanted to join together. So that's why you can see both of us together. So I have a question. Currently, I am an associate professor in University of Prairie View, Texas A&M. This is an HBCU institution. And I do have some NSF grants and DoD grants that I'm running right now, but I do have very interest to actually start a center for our department. So I'm in chemical engineering department. So I have heard like all of you have talking about like the centers you are running, but what is the best way to actually find the right, the proposal that I should go for? Because I know like for us, we have NSF CREST Center that is actually NSF particularly give it for HBCU, but this one we already have a center and they will not provide another one to the same institution. So I have to look for other, like call for proposals, find the right solicitation that I can apply into. So like, what will be your suggestions like when I'm trying to apply for or looking to submit for a center application or center proposal? What is the best way to find that? I know it relates to your research. So my research is mainly on materials. Actually, I work with polymeric thin films and all polymer related, materials related. NSF has it, DOE has it. So what would be the best, your suggestions that would help me to like kind of guide me to the right path to get the right food?
Mehdi, it seems like you have approached the mic, so it is.
Say that again?
Looks like you have approached the microphone, so please take the question.
No. What I was saying that, I mean, again, one idea that comes to mind is that again, as everyone is saying, that you need a team and you need other stakeholders as well, because that may allow the university to take you seriously and allocate certain amount of funds for your center. So one thing that could be not a bad idea to take a look at is an IUCRC. It is an NSF, I think they call it Industry University Cooperative Research Center. And that requires, so initially I think you can always submit a planning grant. And if the planning grant is approved, that allows you to interact with industry and bring them on board. And once that is done, then you actually go to NSF for the final proposal. And I think, I don't remember exactly what the amount is right now, but I think NSF provides, I think 200K, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct? So please take a look at it. I may be wrong with the amount. And then each and every industry that actually participates, they actually pay a membership fee. And the membership fee, again, it could be 50K or 70K or 75K per year. And when the membership funding comes in, any faculty member of your university or participating universities, they actually can submit a proposal that will be reviewed by industry, and then they will actually decide which one to fund. So, and then we have an annual meeting where the outcomes of the annual research is actually discussed. But one way to entice the industry is that NSF dictates that if they're a part of IUCRC, the university cannot charge the full indirect. And I think the indirect is capped. So whatever amount they are actually providing to the faculty member, it actually goes a long way. So, and I think this is actually a good way to start your interaction with industry so that if it works out right, that could be something that you can take it to the next step. And that could be, if everything works out and you have a very good team with very good ideas, an NSF-ERC.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. That actually helps a lot. So the suggestion is like, that means it is the first step is to find out the right university and approach them.
No, the
So,
first one is the planning grant.
Planning
And
grant. Okay,
once you submit the planning grant, they give you a certain amount of funding just to allow you to identify the industry partners.
Oh, okay. I got you.
But again, it could be that you are by yourself, one university IUCRC, or it can be two university IUCRC and so on. But most of the time, if you get the funding and if you want it to be renewed, NSF will insist that you actually add or bring to the fold other universities as well.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Siraj. Thank you so much. My name is Ariful Bhuyan. I'm from University of Houston, Clear Lake. So my background is mechanical engineering. So yeah, we have some communal interests. So she's from Perryville, Texas A&M University. I'm from University of Houston, Clear Lake. So we have some common project as well, energy based. So we are thinking of to apply for something for the center. So this webinar helps us a lot.
Yeah.
So we have been thinking last several months, we are just scratching our head. So we don't know where to go, what to see. So this is very informative webinar. Really appreciate this arrangement.
But again, understanding is, I think what everyone is saying, that this has to be something that is of national need that you're addressing. Because, and that if the research, this particular center will assist local, not only local, any industry around. And I think there are lots of different things. That is, I don't remember things, but the industry, they can submit proposals to NSF and that is going to pay part of their membership fee. There are lots of different things that actually encourages industry to be a part of this, what they call a center. But it's a good start.
There's a good start, yeah.
It's a very good start.
That's what we have been looking for, from where to start. So thank you so much for the guidance.
Saif, Fahmida, madam, is she with IUCRC, that particular program at NSF? She's not.
She's for
no.
International?
No, she's not.
International,
yeah.
You know, all these collaboration with different countries, research universities.
So Prakash Balan, he is the director. So he reports to Jose. And so you may want to actually reach out to him. The initial, the grant is going to be $20,000 to start with, which is exploratory. And I think I don't know exactly what areas of energy that you are working on, but the Houston or in general the state of Texas has a lot of the energy based companies which are right now fossil fuel based, but they are trying to be sort of the clean themselves up, right? So that's one. So you can actually get some, and many times the industries try to partner because you are at a very low cost producing their next employees, their next the team members. So this is where they can also do the early screening of many of the exploratory emerging areas that they might want to actually check out and see in the next 5 years how they're distilled down so that they can pick the people from your centers and to plug them in their research. So that's actually a good way to streamline the whole process. that I think that today we had a really the good set of information about what needs to be done.
Sure. So it is exploratory some funding, right? With the program director name is Prakash
Balan.
Prakash Balan. Okay.
Yeah, you can just write NSF ICURC, right?
Sure. Thank you so much. It's really helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, can I add one point? Like for me, before starting the center, right? So I have been with the other people's center, but what I started since 2011, to chairing a conference, local conference. Maybe you can start a local small workshop like thing. So it used to be only 200 people. Now that conference is an annual conference. Like after 14 years, it has grown to about 800 people. So now that conference, I never had to take my time value from that conference proceeds, but it generates about 150,000. So I have a good hand of money, but that's not important. Most important thing is like anytime you build a center like this, you need help from the industries. So in that conference, right, there are about 100 companies and industries. They come and present, with their. So I have access to that kind of resources. Because of the conference, right, my name goes to many people. So when I walk in Albuquerque and Costco, they sometimes they know me because the emails, I have a person for a whole year, they're sending it. So so my one, like the one center we started, right? So I have been associate director for different centers with other universities and with, inside here. So now finally we started in zero, like my one doesn't have, right, funding from anything, but we started a center. Now with this center, we will go with this direction, DOE or NSF, whatever funding agency. So I don't know, maybe I need advice from Taher Bhai and Anwar Bhai too. I'm a baby in the pool, so how am I going to swim? I don't know. It's a lot of headache to me.
One thing I think, see, I'm talking about my failures. So that's why, and I think, the oldest among all the people attending today, if I'm not mistaken. It is always, you may have the best of ideas, but sometimes if it is not articulated in an appropriate way, then it doesn't get funding. And the appropriate way is actually because people like visualization, draw some nice pictures, if possible, get some professional assistance. And when it comes to when your proposal is getting reviewed, it is not that everyone will actually have the exact same background as you have. So they should be able to read without getting upset when they are looking at your proposal. Do not use difficult English language. Be very simple. And never say it would be done. Passive voice do not use, always active voice. And if possible, get it reviewed by someone else. So other thing is also, initially it is a good practice to be a partner with someone else. Like you simply say that this is the idea that we have, Professor Saif Islam. Is this something of interest to you so that we can write a proposal together? Because that actually gets you in first, because they don't know you yet. So, and that actually helps. So having a good partner so that you actually can partner and put a proposal together actually helps. And that especially when you're starting your career, associate professor is actually something is a nice place to be, because you're done with your tenure thing. Now you actually have some independence. And now it is better to partner and go as a team.
Okay, so we are 3 minutes past 10, and is there any other question? 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so thank you so much, everyone. We are going to meet again. We have a great lineup of discussions and interactions coming up. I do know that Professor Jassim Imran, he is going to moderate a panel, which is going to be scheduled on 12th. I'm supposed to actually send out this weekend, and then there will be some more incoming. There's a lot of, like, you know, the young folks are actually working pretty hard to to support many of the interesting discussion points and the topics that we have talked about, and they're coming up with different the topic areas and which are closely related to Bangladesh. And I think the one of the major the objectives of that of these discussions and so on and so forth is essentially to know each other through these interactions. And you never know where you can find your next partner to establish a center. So having said that, I look forward to seeing you all, and thanks so much.
Thank you.
Good to see you all.
Thank you for organizing it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mustafa.
Alaikum.
No
Thank you.
problem. Thanks.
Tahir, take care. Saif, take care.